All right, thank you, sir, very much. Italians kind of, regardless of party, you just stay together. All right, good seeing you. Over $1 trillion. That's so far what our bailout tab is adding up to so far. Congressman Ron Paul says stop that spending. That's what got us into the mess in the first place. Congressman, what did you make of what your colleague was saying?
Well, I can vouch for him that he is very well intended and he cares a whole lot. But I think he comes off with an economic policy somewhat different than mine, because I'm certainly not going to endorse any more bailouts. I think his instincts were right when he said he was tempted not to vote for that first stimulus package, and I think I've stuck with that instinct. I just don't think they do any good. We need to correct the problems. We have to understand how we got here. A lot of times people, when I'm interviewed, they'll say, well, we don't want to hear how we got here. We want to know what we do. But I think you have to know how you got here, or you can't come up with any solutions. And I think if we continue to spend, run up deficits, require the Federal Reserve to create more money, artificially fix interest rates, trying to fix home prices, that you destroy the market. And that's what we've done, and that's why we're more likely to have a depression, because we are not allowing the corrections that are very necessary.
What do you make, Congressman, of the argument for all of this stuff, because we've got this credit squeeze, that unless you're pristine perfect, you're not going to get money, and banks are even now reluctant to lend to themselves, that this has now become bigger than philosophical issues? What do you make of that?
Well, that may be good, though. If people were borrowing money for a house with no down payment and then getting 120%, obviously that was wrong, so you have to correct for that. And maybe people will start saving money. There was a time when people wanted to buy a car, they would save for 5 years and buy the car. So maybe our attitudes would change, because we went the extreme opposite by saying that you never had to have down payments and you didn't have to work real hard, you didn't have to save anything, and it got us all into this trouble, because we created this whole huge bubble that had to be deflated and it had to be corrected. So it's not all that bad to go back to some sound principles of being frugal and work hard and save money. But it's so difficult with the system that we have, because if you save, you get penalized. First, you get taxed on your interest earned, and then you also lose purchasing power, because we deliberately destroy the value of the dollar. So why should you save?
Well,
and then the government tells us...
That's a valid point. And you could do what my daughter did and just ask Dad for the car.
Yeah, well, rich people can do that, I guess.
In all seriousness, let me ask you about what you think will come of these weekend meetings. The global financial ministers are in town in Washington. First the G7, then the G20, and then I guess the G30 and G-Whiz. We don't know what's going on. And now they've got to come up with something, because they all feel that we're in this huge global pickle. What do you want to see come of these weekend meetings?
Well, that they break up their meeting real early and not make any major decisions, because they're going to be just causing more harm. They're liable to come up with creating a worldwide central bank to take over every institution and every financial system around the world. And you talk about nationalization of industry, what's it going to be like under internationalization of an institute? But they do need monetary reform, but they don't need a international bank that's going to manage a fiat currency. That would be very, very destructive, and I'm afraid they're moving in that direction.
All right, well, they must be moving something somber, because not a one smiled in the group picture. Congressman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, in the end, this is really about housing. If home prices